Today, we're exploring something that can help make sense of the maddening upside down world you've been living in if you've ever been in the grip of a narcissist. We're talking about the false self and how the narcissist becomes addicted to it, not just attached to it, addicted, because this version of themselves that they've created, the brilliant one, the victimized one, the powerful one, the morally superior one, it's not just a performance. It's a shield, a full-blown delusional world that they live in to escape reality. And if you've ever tried to show them the truth, you know what happens. They rage, they deny, they spin, or vanish. Why is that? Because you didn't just bruise their ego, you threatened the lie that they're addicted to. Let me start with what we mean by a false self. The narcissist builds an identity around who they wish they were, not who they actually are. It's a carefully curated image, charming, competent, desirable, morally right, perpetually wronged. And they expect you to treat this image as real, even when their actions contradict it. They become the hero, the martyr, the misunderstood genius, the innocent victim of your cruelty. But here's the thing. This self isn't rooted in reality. It's not reflective. It doesn't evolve. It doesn't grow. It doesn't admit wrong. And when reality pokes a hole in it, maybe through a boundary, a consequence, or just your honest reaction, the narcissist doesn't adjust. They attack because to them, reality isn't something to process. It's something to escape. So why do I say that they're addicted? Because the false self becomes their drug. It's how they soothe shame. It's how they avoid responsibility. It's how they stay afloat when anything real threatens to bring them down. And like any addiction, it needs to be fed. Constant admiration, absolute loyalty, total control. The narrative must always point back to them as the center of the story, and you must play your role accordingly. If you don't, you'll see withdrawal or rage, smear campaigns, cold silences, anything to punish you for breaking the spell. They're not trying to understand your truth. They're trying to erase it because your truth is dangerous. It reminds them of who they really are, who they are underneath that mask, and they can't bear to look. So how does all of this affect you? Conversations probably feel impossible. It's why you leave interactions just doubting your memory, your feelings, even your worth. It's not just manipulation, it's delusional. You're trying to reason with someone who lives in a story where they're always right and you're always wrong. You might find yourself asking, why won't they just see how hurtful this is? But to admit that they were hurtful would crack the illusion, wouldn't it? And they can't afford that because the truth that they're insecure, angry, or out of control, that does not fit their narrative. So instead, you become the unstable one, the one ungrateful, the villain. What I want for you is to be able to go from fiction to freedom. So please hear this. You are not crazy. You were or are living inside someone else's fiction and expected to treat it like truth. There's a moment in Undercurrent, the novel I wrote based on Annie's real-life patterns of narcissistic abuse, where Annie realizes that everything in her life has been about protecting her husband's version of the story, his image, his control, and even her silence became part of the script. And the most dangerous thing she ever did was tell the truth, not screaming it or fighting. She just would say things plainly. And that's when the mask slipped and the real person underneath came out swinging. The truth is, the narcissist doesn't want reality. They want control. They want the fiction to hold. And the more they need to protect that fiction, the more unhinged things may become when you stop playing your part. But their delusion doesn't have to be your reality. You get to step out of their story. You get to rewrite your own story. I want to thank you for being here today. If any of this resonated with you, I would be honored if you would share it with someone who needs to hear it, who needs to know that they're not alone, that they are not the villain in someone else's story just because they may have spoken the truth. If you are new to my podcast, I'm Kyle Hackley, attorney and author of Undercurrent, a story of a young woman named Annie who found the courage to escape her narcissistic marriage. I want you to know that you're not alone. There's so many people like Annie that have walked this same path. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Share them in the comments. That's why Are You Annie exists. It's a place for men and women, anyone who has ever experienced narcissistic abuse, who deserves validation, inspiration, and the benefit of shared experiences. When you tell your story, you're not just speaking for yourself. You're lighting the way for someone else. It's about walking through fire to reach the other side of narcissistic abuse. It's about reclaiming the pieces of who you are and stepping into your power. I want to thank those of you who are reaching out in the comments, sharing your story. It means so much to me. Thank you. And I just want to make sure you know how you are reaching others. I see you engaging with each other, and I love that. It means we're being effective, that our space is safe, it's validating, and it's inspiring you to speak your truth. If you haven't already, consider hitting the subscribe button. I believe that when you do that, it helps others find us. I don't know you personally, of course, but I know your story because I know Annie's story. The details are always different, but the patterns are the same. And if you see yourself in Annie's journey, just know that you are not alone. And as always, I want you to know you're not just a survivor, you are a warrior against narcissistic abuse. You are stronger than you know. And I want you to be tenacious and never give up on what's important to you. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for being on this journey with me. And until next time, I'll see you later.